Today I review this epic documentary.
It is time to get seriously scared.
Welcome to my world.
The 90s.
Welcome to Oblivion.
The world was shifting in various ways.
And then carnage.
Woo.
The whole machine changes.
It's kind of a carnival atmosphere.
It was a very, very exciting time.
The horror landscape has been changed.
The pendulum swung far.
The horror was always human.
I think everybody was looking for a way to do something original.
There's some really brilliant moments in the 90s.
Scream really changed the entire game.
Oh, just some scary movie.
It's a pop culture phenomenon.
Suddenly, everybody was knocking on Kevin Williamson's door.
And the hook is people are being killed with urban legends.
We're so savvy as horror movie watchers.
It was meta on meta with meta. More blood, more gore.
Look at me, I'm Leatherface!
Seven, who was kind of the antithesis of Scream.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Absolutely brilliant moment of horror.
There were many new types of villains in the 90s.
Open wide.
This movie is so goth.
We were documenting the effect of anarchy.
This is not reality!
People had nothing to pay attention to except things like Monica Lewinsky.
Blow me.
We're dealing with a lot of social and political themes.
Technology was advancing. Culture was getting kind of uneasy.
This AOL thing, you can really do some damage with that.
Not even Arnold was immune to Y2K.
You're a fucking choir boy compared to me!
This is DVD.
My Blockbuster had 200 copies of it.
I loved all the extras you used to get.
That's back when cinema was still pumping.
Hollywood in a big way!
I love the design of that mummy.
We are in serious trouble.
Johnny Depp is Tim Burton's alter ego.
You look better without a head. This was a period where the soundtrack album became massive.
Rodriguez is a real genius.
Tarantino killed it.
I see dead people.
I still get the chills.
They scare me too sometimes.
It was an intense experience.
It was just the worst experience I've ever had.
Pretty damn cool!
Humans are the monsters in movies.
I love Demon Knight.
Come on out, everybody! Time to play!
Seriously? I don't know if that's even legal.
Let the games begin.
What if we took Stephen King and screamed it up a bit?
Absolutely insane.
Val Kilmer thought he was the reincarnation of Marlon Brando.
We give you this hellaciousness.
Now, I'm sure I'd be the first person to die in the cube. I wouldn't last a minute.
Be careful what you wish for.
The shit just hit the fan.
Michael Myers came back with a vengeance in the 90s.
And it isn't because of the art, it's because of the commerce.
How can we one-up ourselves?
For God's sake, Chucky, drag yourself into the 90s.
More edgy, darker. You can't fault us for not being unique.
Grinning and arching my eyebrows and being a jack.
Outer Space. They kept messing with the ending.
Why are the Japanese making such dark films?
The best haunted tape movie ever to come out ever. It took you to an absolute edge.
Kitty, kitty, kitty.
I'm scared to close my eyes.
We had no idea that the movie was going to blow up.
I bought this thing hook, line, and sinker.
Such a 90s moment.
Word. We are still talking about it. Maybe it was lightning in a bottle.
You can find gold in the 90s.
What do you want me to do? Grow legs and rent an apartment?
Report to the principal's office.
No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel.
Well, after that trailer, I don't think you need me to decide whether you want to watch it or not. But this was such a strange film for me, or strange documentary for me. I'm going to dig into this. Welcome to a absolutely freezing cold, hence the hat, Cumbria, Lake District, and we are going to dig into In Search of Darkness 95 to 99. Now, I thought to myself, right, have we reached the end of this style of movie? You know, the sort of talking heads and scanning over to the cover art and then going through each one of them in detail. And I thought, you know, maybe because there are lots of imitators of the In Search of Darkness, and I've seen them, and they're things like, you know, Jaws was about a shark, and you know, or somebody talking about going seeing a film the day it came out when it was like 20 years before they were born or something like that. And I'm like, and I was thinking, are we, you know, where are we with these documentaries now? And I went into this quite skeptically, and I did say in all of my social media, because I'm going to be completely honest about this. Well, I'm glad to say I really did enjoy this, and I got a lot more out of it than I thought. Kind of spoilers, I suppose, by saying that. I'm not going to try and spoil the documentary for you. I don't want to take any of the things that interested me or surprised me about it. I don't want them to tell you word for word what people said or how they said it or what they were talking about exactly, because it's really will be fun to enjoy this. So I planned on watching this in installments and releasing this video in the future towards the end of or mid-January. But I watched the whole thing. I watched 6.5 hours of it, and then I was writing copious notes, and it's just so much. So it's going to be a bit rambly, but I think hopefully you'll get the essence for it and kind of make a decision for yourself on what you think. My opinion was well, listening to this, I'm going, 95 to 99, they're new movies. We're having nostalgia for that. It's because I'm an old dude. But I was like, well, you know, we've covered all the great horror movies because, you know, I skew 70s, 80s, maybe quite a lot of 60s as well. But the 90s were films where I was going to the cinema more independently of family members. And a lot of these films I saw, and I don't even know I realized I was watching horror, because sometimes, you know, you just watch whatever's on. If you were of the generation where you got your little monthly card and you could go and watch as many films as you want, as many times as you want. Some of these I've seen so many times, but then I was like, well, maybe I don't need to see this because I can't have nostalgia for something that feels relatively new. Then I realized it's 20-something years ago, more, and time has moved on. And some of these things, some of the stories that I hear in this are things I just did not know about. So I feel like I've exhausted the stories on Jaws, as great as the recent documentary on Jaws was that was on Disney Plus. I feel like I've exhausted a lot of you know, interesting stories, or people getting, you know, who were there telling you these things. But we haven't exhausted stories on films that I absolutely love, that maybe need re-examining or re-watching or just telling people about. So this is really cool. These are great ways of, if you're just getting into horror, to create a list, write a list of films, go through them and say, out of these, whatever many films it is, these are, say, 20 of them I want to go and watch. The Fright Fest books are really good for that as well. I recommend those, the Grindhouse ones or the vampire ones. You just go through them and go, I've not seen that, not seen that. It's kind of like collecting Garbage Pail Kids or stickers or something when you were a kid. And just kind of selecting the ones you want or need, got. So this was a really fun experience, much more fun than I thought. I was a bit skeptical about watching it. I was like, how much do I not, you know about these films that I saw at the time, I read about in Empire or whatever, Fangoria, and you know, how much but the answer is there's loads of things that are brand new and really fascinating about these movies, because this, I think they've refined their craft. I think the team behind In Search of Darkness have refined this over the decade or so of making these. They've really refined their process to the point where the people talking about the films know the most about them. They were either directly there, or they have a real passion about it, or they kind of have the ear of someone, you know, who had a big part to play in it. So this really does open up a lot. Like, for example, I can't think of any other documentaries where they've talked about these movies that I love. So in the level of detail I talk about Event Horizon, a film I absolutely love. I just think it's a wonderful, wonderful film. It's great to hear the director. It's great to hear about the soundtrack, and the soundtrack discussions in these are great, and the scores. And maybe there are people who don't know the difference between a soundtrack and a score. And the 90s being that period of time where you would go to the cinema and pick up a CD with all the hits from a band who's done songs specifically for a film. I don't know, like Disturbing Behavior, or I remember picking up that soundtrack, or picking up the soundtrack for Austin Powers, or whatever it was you were doing in the 90s, early 2000s. You know, it was a big time for getting soundtracks, like what we'd call like a jukebox soundtrack now. But we've got John Carpenter talking about In the Mouth of Madness. You know, as much as I love The Thing, and The Thing is many people's absolutely favorite movie of all time, you don't get to hear him talk about In the Mouth of Madness as much. And it's an absolute delight to hear that, to hear, you know, and I've got different takes on some of the people I've interviewed myself, and I know them, or I've met them in person, or I've interviewed them in online, and you can check them out. And I was like, yes, that is exactly the right person to select to talk about this, or to ask about, you know, whether it's talking about the film Skinner and the transfer onto DVD, Blu-ray, VHS of them, and how they're doing with Ted Raimi. You know, there's no other documentaries talking about the film Skinner. I did a podcast maybe a year and a half ago called Brain Rot with Stevie Webb, and we went through Skinner. We talked about Skinner, and we talked about how great Tracy Lords was, but how cool was it to hear Ted Raimi talking about this and his experience of making the film and his experience of Tracy Lords. It was like, wow, this is cool. I didn't expect that. And there's just enough in there for there to be maybe 10, 15 films that I haven't got around to seeing that now I want to. So like The Wax Mask, I haven't seen. Let's see what else I wrote down. So I love Bordello of Blood, but I never got around to watching Demon Knight. Now I'm like, oh, I really want to see that. I really want to see Tales from the Hood. I never got around to watching it, and I love my anthology films. Strangeland, Dee Snider's, again, somebody that I went to watch in my early teens, went to watch Twisted Sister play. So why did I not watch his movie? This is crazy. I'm not going to take it anymore. So yeah, this is it. The difference between this and the ones that are kind of popped up in recent years that have kind of turned me off this style of documentary, and this one, why this one's brought me back, I think, is the insightful nature of this. So Doug Bradley says some things about this era and about the movies he's made, but Doug Bradley says some things that I sat there and I went, yeah, that's exactly right. That sums it up perfectly. He's such a great, you know, and Robert Kurtzman as well does that really well. It might be the best interview I've seen with Robert Kurtzman about his films as a director and special effects. And I'm just like, yeah, this is just really engaging. That's the reason I sat there and watched the full 60 hours. I didn't watch 60 hours, but with all the extras, I think it's coming up to about 12 or so. I think it said in that trailer. But yeah, I watched 6.5 hours of this last night, and you know, it's just awesome to hear other people talk about the things you like. So like I was saying about Event Horizon, I don't know many people who like it. I don't know many people who are willing to talk about it that much in this amount of detail. And I'm like, I get to hear Paul W.S. Anderson talk about it, and I also get to hear fans of it. You know, people, real passionate fans, Corey Taylor and people like that. You know, Ted Nicolau's in this now. Ted Nicolau's been on the channel twice, and I think he's got to be one of the nicest people involved in film that I've met, but also so self-effacing. And I really I can't overstate this. You know, Charles Band's got this hustle. You know, he gets things going. He has the poster, he has the idea, but there's not many people who can transfer that into a timeless piece of art that is either hilarious, scary, and looks $1 million when it's probably $10. Do you know what I mean? Like, the budget is low, but the quality is high. And I think Ted Nicolau, whether it's Subspecies, one of my favorites, TerraVision, or Bad Channels, or so many, even talking about Castle Freak here, you know, Ted Nicolau is able to spin Charles Band's ideas into gold, and it was great to see him. It was great to see him pop up in the interviews. What a wonderful person. And yeah, it is. it was a really fantastic experience for me to watch this because it surprised me, and I'm so used to watching. To be fair, the recent RoboCop 3-part documentary surprised me as well. I was like, how much more could you tell me? And the answer is loads, and it's great to have companies putting these out where you can tell it's not just a cash grab. The quality of people involved explains that. You know, it's real insight from those people who were there, telling you things that probably either are not that well widely known. So I really enjoyed that. Even just getting to hear about Bordello of Blood and the director just being like it was a nightmare to make and explaining why, but it's a film that I really liked. You know, it's such weird casting in it as well. Like Dennis Miller's there, okay, Bib, and yeah, it's. Let's go through some more of the people. Let's have a look at if I've missed anybody. I'm not going to tell you about every single person because it'd be nice for you to kind of experience this for yourself for sure. Doug Bradley stands out. I think some of the things he was talking about, not just Hellraiser wise, but when he's talking about Lord of Illusion and talking about the era, absolutely fantastic. I mentioned that earlier. C. Robert Cargill. Now, C. Robert Cargill, we've got some of the best voices in horror here. If you listen to C. Robert Cargill's podcast, Junk Food Cinema, with Brian Salisbury, I think is his partner. Cargill's really interesting to listen to talk about movies, but he's just got such a mellifluous voice. And a very insightful guy as well. So it's great. Got to hear John Carpenter talk about things that maybe he doesn't normally talk about. David, I always say his name wrong, Dasmalchian, who's such a massive horror fan. And he kind of he gave me some food for thought. He kind of advocated for some films that I'm not a massive fan of and made me kind of want to give them another go and like made me open my mind a little bit. So that was pretty cool. Ernest Dickerson, who made Juice, as well as lots of horror films as well. Mike Flanagan was on there. He's very, very much the guy who can make any movie he wants at the moment. So it's pretty cool to get Mike Flanagan on there. Mick Garris, again, probably my favorite actual voice in horror. I could listen to him read the phone book. He's just great. And he seems like such a nice, lovely man. I'd love to interview Mick Garris. He's great. I used to listen to his podcast all the time. I'm not sure if it just counted as ASMR. He was so wonderful to listen to. Who else have we got? Peter Hyams is in there being interviewed. Robert Kurtzman, I mentioned. Heather Langenkamp. Now, this was a big surprise. I hope he doesn't. Well, it's unlikely he watches this, but if he did, I'm sorry, Jamie. But I did not expect Jamie Kennedy to dig as deep into the sort of the time, the films that he was in, what they meant, and really kind of go into it a bit like his character Randy would have done, as like a big film geek. And I was like, yeah, wow, he really brought his A game for this, Jamie Kennedy. Maybe because I just watched his New Year's Eve disaster thing a while ago, and I thought, oh man, but yeah, time has passed and we've got a thoughtful Jamie Kennedy now. The amazing Adam Marcus, who I always think speaks so well about horror and is also not afraid to kind of stand up for films that maybe other people just dismiss, maybe films that I might have even dismissed. So yeah, he was great, and I thought he really stood out. I mentioned Ted Nicolau. Now, one of the best interviewees I thought in this was Graham Revell, the composer. He was involved in so many of these, and how he worked with people like Wes Craven, and how he, differentiated and weaved the scores and the soundtracks together. And he just seems to have a great sense of humor and a really, really unique voice that I hadn't heard speak about his role, a very, very important role. Somebody I met as well a year or so ago, a couple of years ago now, he was a really nice guy, and all we talked about was comedy. I don't even think I recorded it for the channel, or it didn't work, but I had a chat with him and we talked about his love of British comedy and wanting to make comedy films, and was Eduardo Sanchez. And yeah, he always adds sort of humility and insight, and I keep coming back to that word insight. Everybody really engaged with this on a way that was like trying to explain things in a way that was informative, fresh, and you also like maybe open enough for somebody who didn't really know anything about them to find it interesting. And he was one of those. You know, Corey Taylor kind of always whenever I've seen him interviewed about horror and stuff, he's got this kind of childlike enthusiasm about horror films that he'll say, hey, listen, this is why I like Vampire in Brooklyn, and really dig into it, and it's like just doesn't give a damn about it. One of my favorites, Brian Yuzna, pops up as well. Society, what a great film, and yeah, so good. So yeah, I'm not just going to list off all the people, but I kind of want to just make it very clear that this was a surprise, and if it was going to be like, so here's a movie and it's about this, and this was the box office and blah blah, and just give us a little Wikipedia synopsis, then we could get that off Wikipedia. But this is it dragged me in, and it kept me there for the full 6 hours. I'd had a long day, and I started watching it quite late, and I just stayed up and watched it until I fell asleep on the sofa, and then I woke up wanting to record this review and get my notes together, and I just kind of did that, which I wasn't expecting to have that kind of drive to do. And I think that is a testament to this film. And I just really want to thank Jenna over at the In Search of Darkness team, 1995 to 1999. And I'm going to give you some information now about some things coming up with the film. So there's going to be a digital flash sale from the 16th of January, and that will run for 10 days. If you go to 90shorrordoc.com, that'll be in the description of my video. And yeah, it is a hell of a lot of fun. And I guess I just have to admit, I'm old, and my nostalgia can start looking at the 90s now and see that as the past rather than a new movie. I think people always laugh at me when I'm like, I saw a movie, it was from 2005, it was a new movie. But yeah, it was a really lovely surprise. It was great. I think the reason they got in touch with me was I know my name is in the credits of the first one. I was really on board with the first one, and I've watched all the others, but you know me, I get so chaotic with things. I get all mixed up which ones I've seen and when I've seen them and how many I've seen and blah blah blah. But this one really has dragged me back in. I hope they continue and do some early 2000s, because it's such a strange time for horror. I mean, there's the you know, definitely the Scream era from this time, you know, and then you get lots of copies of that. But there's maybe some things that we missed, maybe some things that we kind of dismissed, or I certainly dismissed from the early 2000s, that means that they could go in this direction from 2000s onwards. And I'd be really interested to see who they get, what they choose, because there's a nice maybe 25% of movies here that I haven't seen, 75% of them that I have, and maybe there's another, like within that 75%, I see a bit of Steiner math, but there's like 25% of those are films that I wish people loved as much as I did, and it was great to hear that some people do. Whether it's something like Lord of Illusion, which really doesn't get talked about a lot. You know, Clive Barker, so creative, so interesting, and I don't know if, yeah, I was just saying, I don't know if he gets that credit for the things he's done completely solo and that aren't Hellraiser. But yeah, that's one to check out. The amazing Scott Bakula in it. And again, we're talking with cast members, we're talking with people who were involved. So yeah, check it out. I'm pretty sure I haven't spoiled any of this for you, because I've not told you any of the specific stories, but you need to listen to this. And also one thing as well that I didn't notice in any of the other ones was little cuts to documentaries from about the time. So documentaries about the 90s, documentaries about, or clips from news reports and things like that, just to kind of bring us into that world. And I think that'd be really interesting, certainly for younger folks who maybe were around at the time. Because I guess you could have been born in 2000 and you'd be 20, 25, 26 now. So you wouldn't have lived through any of this. So it is definitely history class for you, which is mad. But I guess it'd be like me looking at the 60s, and the 60s is just kind of some weird, you know, thing that I've seen on TV. So yeah, I'd love to hear I'm going to go and sort of just type in Search of Darkness 95 to 99 and just see what other people make of this, maybe who are a different generation to me, who didn't go to the cinema and watch on most of these. And some of them, they were impossible. Things like Bordello of Blood, I remember, I think I recorded that off television. It was late night TV, or even I bought it on a Region 1. Some of these I had to buy on Region 1 DVDs to be able to watch them. So it was also seeking them out and not really knowing what, other than in the sort of confines of magazines, what people thought about them. We're sort of, it does touch on file sharing and things like that, and early internet stuff, or not early internet, but before the advent of where we are now, where everybody's opinion is being thrown at you everywhere. You'd have to search out your group of folks and what they thought about stuff, news groups and things like that, if you remember those, and used to go on Yahoo groups and all this kind of stuff to find out what people thought about things. But I used to have to go on play.com or different websites, and back when I was a boy, and find these Region 1 DVDs in order to get them and in order to see them. And some of them I couldn't get hold of. So yeah, it's been really, really fun experience for me. And it's not been like, oh, sad, the old days. It's just kind of been recognizing that there was better stuff around. We were talking about the good old days. My good old days are like films from the 80s. But now I'm starting to think, after watching this, that my good old days also include mid 90s to 2000s. I got that with comedy recently with myself and Gareth over on Video Tasty's channel. We watched Bowfinger, and I was just like, this is a really underrated, incredible film. So maybe we're due for this. Maybe we're due for some revisits and reappraisals, and maybe there's some films that people dismissed. I definitely think Event Horizon is one of those that shouldn't have been. Like Ted Raimi's performance in Skinner, Tracy Law's performance in Skinner, films that Lord of Illusion, just in general, that was just kind of people have forgotten about. These are films that people 100% need to go and watch and give them a go. And it's great to hear people talk about them with love and not just kind of put things down, because every film that you hate, there is someone who it's their favorite film. I'm not saying you have to tippy toe about it. It's okay to have an opinion and hate a film, but it's also okay for somebody else to love a film. So yeah, it was really, really cool. And to hear people like Ernest Dixon talk about, reasons why he made, Tales from the Hood, and the support he got from Spike. Just so much great things in there that I've never heard before. Okay, I'm going to stop rambling, but I hope I've given you all that information. Did I tell you to go to Instagram and go to @80shorrordoc, and then you'll find out about this flash sale on there as well, or 90shorrordoc.com, which is where you will be able to buy the digital pack with so much stuff in there, which will run for 10 days from the 16th of January 2026. Did I say 2025? 2026. And yeah, just a big thank you for being asked. And big thank you for watching as well. So if you're watching my channel and you want me to review something, and you want me to review some of these films, or you want to come on and review them with me and talk about them, and you have a channel, or you don't have a channel, you're just a big horror fan and you want to kind of do something a little bit different and come on and chat with me, then reach out in the comments and we'll make contact. And yeah, I'm at Pugwall316 on TikTok, at Pugwall316 on YouTube. Don't even know the other name. And yeah, you can message me over there in the comments here in my community section. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, this journey into iconic 90s horror was a total bewildering, surprising experience for me in a real positive way. Also, go and buy a Ted Nicolau movie. The guy is so lovely. He's such a great guy. Or I'm trying to think who else have I mentioned? All the people that I want to big up who were in this film were so good. Some of the academics in there were great as well, and the staff from Fangoria were really great. And yeah, it'd be really interesting if you go onto IMDb and you look up who was it I was going to say? The Graham Revell, of course. Graham Revell, the composer from New Zealand. Man, he's done some amazing he composed the score for The Crow, and so many other wonderful pieces of work, certainly around this time. Go and check him out. Watch one of his film, or connect with him, or tell him his movies are great, or his soundtracks and his scores, should I say, are great. So yeah, I'm happy 2026, and what a great way to start it. I really enjoyed this, as you can tell. And I'll be honest with you, if I didn't, this would have been a really awkward review. I would have been thankful for having the opportunity to do it, but then I would have found it really difficult to talk about it without, well, I would have told you exactly what I thought, but it would have just been I'd have been a bit sad about doing it. I've been like, yeah, I was right. Those films kind of weren't as good as you know, 80s films or whatever. But like most things, you've just got to kind of do a little bit of digging, and also like what you like. If people tell you, oh, you can't enjoy this film, blah, 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 it's not as good as that. Like, you can't enjoy Event Horizon because it's not Alien, or I don't know, something like that. No, you can. You can do whatever you want. You can like the movies you like. Okay. Here endeth the rant. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will speak to you very, very shortly. Lots of reviews of British TV shows coming up. We just did the 13 best remakes live. That's in this section as well. And yeah, connect, and I'll connect with you, and enjoy yourselves watching these movies. Make a list. Watch this movie with your notes app open, or a piece of paper like I did, and you'll definitely won't regret it. All right. Enjoy yourselves. Stay cool. I don't know. Be careful out there. Bye, everyone.